again, Vipan.
Hello, Simon.
For another chat in your lovely garden. And I want to talk to you about daily habits. You're a big journaler, I'm a big meditator. We've found, I've almost found myself in my daily habits, actually. I've almost found who I am in the consistency of showing up to do 3 or 4 things that I do every single day. And I've learned a lot about myself through those, and you speak really highly of journaling, so maybe we can just start there. Like, talk to me about journaling, and talk to me about your journaling habit that you've generated.
I'm going to even before that, Simon, I want to talk to you as to why do we do these habits? Why? What's the purpose? What's your purpose in doing them?
I mean, I'm a former pro sportsman, so I'm a believer that you are what you repeatedly do, right? And also, training is just something that was put into me from a very early age. You're training, right? And when the big moments come, the big pressure moments, there's a great saying, which is, we do not rise to our expectations, we fall to our training. Right? So you don't rise to expectations, you fall to the level of training you've had. And I think I've been meditating now for about coming up to 10 years. And I would say that in that last 10 years, there's been a dozen real high pressure moments where I've fallen back on my meditation. It's given me a sense of grounding, and it's kept me centered. And I thought to myself, oh my God, if I hadn't got all those thousands of hours of meditation in, I may not have survived, or I may have collapsed, or I wouldn't have known what to do. And so I'm a massive believer in practice and training. And I think daily habits, for me, they're a form of practice and training. But, journaling is a bit different from that. What are you practicing?
Okay. So I like what you said there, and it resonates with me because it keeps you grounded. So why I started journaling, because I find it therapeutic, and it helps me put things into perspective, and it's calming, and it helps you deal with difficult situations. It's similar to your meditation. It's a form of meditative practice.
Definitely.
Because you're being in the moment, and you're thinking through in a lot of detail about your emotions and feelings, and trying to clear your mind and make sense of it all through my journaling practice. And it is a habit. It's I think journaling has been proven by psychologists. James Pennebaker was the most famous of them all, who's ironically written a lot about journaling, the benefits of it. But for me, it helps me to understand what's gone on, and it's quite cathartic during the day. But it's a form of, you can write about so many different things. What's troubling you, what's gone on, but also it's a form of gratitude. You can make it into a form of gratitude practice. To say, so whatever has happened during the day, I always put a subheading. What has been the highlight of today? Because no matter how bad your day is, there's always something you can take that's been a positive. So by saying to myself, what has been the highlight? And it might be I've spent 20 minutes playing with my dogs, or we've gone for a beautiful walk, or something, I had a really nice lunch, whatever it is. That was a highlight, but it was something positive. So you can think about that, and it just also it shows that you can be grateful. I'm grateful even for the smallest things, even for the beauty of the trees, whatever it is. You can find something, but it means that you're thinking about something else rather than your own woes. And we talked about this in other areas, about being of service, but looking outwards. It's about looking outwards rather than always looking inwards.
Yeah, I like that. And I also think that the body and the mind are subject to what they call entropy. And entropy means that over a course of time, things disintegrate. And I think that that's why the mind and the body needs training. See, I know that my mind, I know that the reptilian part of my mind, which is the most powerful part, it's the part that's kept me alive, it's the part that kept my ancestors alive.
Yeah.
It's subject to finding negatives and faults and reasons to keep me safe. It doesn't look for opportunity, it doesn't look for gratitude, it doesn't look for reasons to be happy or joyful. And so when I think of something like journaling, and I have a similar practice, for me it's training me to stay away from the entropy of my mind or my ego, you know. It's keeping me in, because I'm training myself to be positive, I'm training myself to be grateful, or in meditation I'm training myself to be honest, meditation as a practice meditation as a daily habit is not like any other practice, because everything else is a doing.
Yes.
Meditation is an undoing.
Yes, that's
because
true.
It's a not doing.
Yes, it is quite the opposite.
That's why it's phenomenally powerful and also phenomenally difficult.
Yes, being still is phenomenally
so difficult. It's the hardest practice.
Clearing your mind of
It's so easy to run through a brick wall until you puke as a practice, but to sit there and practice being and watching,
that's the ultimate.
It's such a hard practice.
Yeah, it is. It is, but again, because repetition, it'll retrain, and that's the point about habits. That it retrains your brain. Excuse me. The neurons in your brain get rewired.
Yeah,
and continual practice does that.
And we are who we repeatedly think that we are. And the repeatedly think side of it is where daily practice comes in. Because actually we're all in daily practices. Even people who don't have daily habits, they have daily habits. It's a daily habit to wake up and go, oh no, not a day. So everybody's in this daily habit. Oh God, another day. That's a daily habit. So you can interrupt that with a better daily habit, which is to wake up and go.
We're talking about positive habits, aren't we?
But what I mean is that I don't think there's an absence of daily habits.
No.
There's just aware habits and unaware habits. So I think that part of making daily habits, and just a couple of them, is you bring them into the light. Yeah. It's like self-talk. You know, it's like affirmations. People go, I am rich. The whole point of that is actually to interrupt the always going on story, which is, I'm poor, I don't deserve enough, I'm not enough, all this sort of stuff. So I think we run on, our bodies and our minds run on repetition anyway. Yeah. A lot of it's just negative, and I think daily habits as a conscious practice bring it into the light, which means we can change it, we can work with it, we can remove the things that aren't serving us, we can focus on things that are going to make us happier, more joyful, more appreciative, or more focused.
So so habits, as you said, there's some healthy habits, but there's positive habits that we want to change, that we want to bring into our lives. So I found out that, you know, on my journey to become resilient, as it were, there's certain things that I have to do, or I do, which are really beneficial to me, and have been when I've been going through my low points. I've discovered there's certain habits that are really good to have for me, and it could be, you know, for example, daily exercise. That is a habit. It's a good habit, and through my studies, I've discovered, and there's lots of evidence to say that daily habits such as exercise they play an important role in your mental well-being. So you're right, there's a link between the physical and the mental. For example, going for a walk really clears my mind, but it's really good for you. It really is. So, and for me, exercise is a great way of staying positive. So I try and pull together 4 or 5 habits that I think are really important for my well-being.
That's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't need a couple. I mean, for me, just a couple is fine.
Yeah, frankly, yeah. Even if, you know, for me, the way we dress, the way we pay attention to ourselves, it's the self-love and the self-compassion extends to the way you dress and look after yourself. That's a positive habit. And I think you'll find people who have a purpose in their lives, they have habits. Yeah. So it's all about that self-belief and purpose and rethinking and changing your thinking habits. So that's why we're both encouraging people to develop these habits, because it encourages a more positive outlook. And it encourages a different way of thinking. and
Yeah.
stops your mind going in certain directions, and the mind goes in certain directions because of those thoughts. So we're trying to change those thoughts, aren't we?
Yeah.
And that's where it stems from. And for me, once you go on a different track, becoming positive and more focused and having those habits which help you do that, it changes your whole day, your intensity of the day, your purpose. It changes everything.
Yeah, there is, and there's something that happens over a course of time too. I found certainly, like, if you think about in business, like having habits, so let's take content marketing, right? Most of success in business actually isn't the big things done once every 3 months. It's the little things done every single day with there's no real attachment to the result there. Jim Rohn said success is a few very simple things done well every day.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when I was younger, I used to want to do these really big things, and I would think that success would come in one moment, and it would be like in sport, like taking a wicket or scoring a goal. And what I didn't realise until much, much later, and I look back on the professional cricketers I played with, they built their entire careers on hitting one ball really well, repeatedly. I remember watching Test cricketers practicing really simple drills.
Yeah.
And their whole career was built off of 1 or 2 drills, which they did over and over again. Or you think of strong men, they just hit 3 or 4 exercises that they lift with good technique over and over and over again. Or a good healthy body is the same foods eaten. And you have to leave your ego at the door, I think, every single day to be able to remain disciplined in the practices, because there's not a great deal of result. Like certainly meditation, right? You just sit there and you pay attention and you be, but there's no euphoria. There's no, like people, one of the reasons people don't meditate is because they sit there and they think they're going to transcend the limitations of being itself, meet the divine, you know, and that's the reason they go, oh God, is that all it is? And it's like, no, that's exactly why it's powerful, because you just sit there and you be. So it's an ultimate ego check, because you just sit there and you are. That's why it's such a challenge.
Yeah.
Or journaling, it's the repetitive nature, because I imagine every day you're not writing the most interesting things ever. I mean, you must be a little bit of labour involved in journaling. Certainly if you have to process some things that are uncomfortable. Some days are hard, which means journaling is hard, right?
You just gotta let your mind flow. Where does your mind want to take you? So if you pick up a pen, it's amazing actually. It's like the pen has a life of its own, because if you're committed to writing things down, that 15-20 minutes, then just let your mind flow. What is it that you might start thinking, I'm going to journal this today, but when you get down to it, something else just takes over. It is difficult to describe unless you start doing it, but obviously there's a subconscious element that takes over, that you think, oh, actually no, this is what it tells you that you want to write about.
Did you know the ancient Rome banned the pen, the writing implement, from the people?
No,
because they knew if they banned it, they would take the power away from the people.
Wow.
They banned it for a while.
Yeah.
So there was a Roman Caesar, I don't know who it was, but he took the pen away.
Yeah.
Or the writing implement, because he knew it would take away the power out of the people. It's very powerful to write.
It is very powerful to write.
And handwrite too. There's something about this that's different from this. This is, I can feel it. My mind and my hand are connected. When I do this, I feel the separation between my fingers and my mind when I write like this.
Yeah, no, I'm a massive fan, I think I might have mentioned to you before, of using an ink pen and feeling and that noise of the pen on paper. Again, for me, it's very cathartic. Late at night I'd journal, so making sense of that day's events and hearing that noise just in the silence is quite powerful. Yeah, but and go to bed with a clear mind. Yeah, and just process everything. But there's so many other things.
What daily habit would you like to incorporate into your life? If you could incorporate a habit into your life now, what would it be if you could? I
think I need to do mindfulness and meditation. Because it's something I've looked into. I've been on mindfulness courses, and I got a lot from it, but I never maintained that practice.
Do you know the difference between mindfulness and meditation?
No, no, I don't
Okay.
actually. So I'll be interested to know.
Well, mindfulness is something you can bring mindfulness to any moment. But so the theory with mindfulness is you have, there's a few more senses than 5, but you have 5 main senses. You have touch, smell, taste, sight, and hearing. And if you bring your attention and you zero your attention in one of your senses, then effectively you're practicing mindfulness. So one of the great ones is touch. So if you just touch mindfully, but you keep your awareness on the feeling of touch.
Yes.
Or you can be mindful by looking at like the leaf on the ground right now.
Yeah.
And you just... So it's bringing mindfulness is with the senses, and it's usually a doing. Meditation is placing your awareness within, and then every time you notice you you come back.
Okay.
So meditation is a very different practice.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is something you can do throughout the day.
Yeah.
Just when you're driving, just
Be mindful.
Yeah, like I actually find there's certain things during the day, like that I do because I am mindful when I do them. So it sounds to me that you're very mindful when you journal because you can feel the ink on the page. When I'm driving, I'm very mindful. I can almost feel the wheels, and I can feel the steering wheel, and I get very mindful when I'm driving. And then there's other things which I do which I'm not mindful. You know, scrolling through YouTube, scrolling the news feed. I lose mindfulness. So I could bring mindfulness to those.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would benefit from having some positive habits into their lives.
What's the easiest habit for someone? Let's say someone's really unhealthy, not in a great place, obviously going, what's the easiest habit? Journaling's pretty easy, isn't it? So it's a great habit.
If they don't want to do that, and the easiest thing is get yourself on a walk.
A walk, yeah.
Do a walk for 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, walking's fantastic.
Make sure you go outside, leave your home, you get dressed. Given COVID, people have just been stuck in the house, don't want to go out, they want to work at home in their pajamas. I think it's much better to get dressed.
Yeah. Get
dressed for the day. Yeah. And go outside.
Because there's a little bit attached to a walk, isn't there? Because what you're saying is like grooming, putting on your clothes. There's rituals.
There are rituals, but again, it trains your mind, and it's proven. But for me, exercise is probably the most important part of my day, and I think it would be for a lot of people to just refocus and getting some fresh air. And again, it's been proven, lowers your blood pressure. Be more mindful when you walk and enjoy what's around you. Take time to appreciate the scenery. And that's the easiest thing. That's all people have to do, just 30 minutes, and practice that every day. Just do it. And it's not even a practice, it just becomes part of your life.